And I remember I just felt like this weight just like lift off me. Like I felt something left me that I've been holding for a really long time.
Sajati, welcome to Exponential Intelligence, Human Potential Sciences. Today we're going to be talking with Venus, and she's got an amazing story. And you haven't been with Exponential Intelligence, very long, right?
No, 2 months.
2 months. Holy crap! And the level or her trajectory on, say, where she was 2 months ago to where she is now, I think in any other modality, I don't think you would ever reach that place, or it would have taken at least you're still young, another 40, 50 years to overcome, right? So really fantastic. So let's just jump right in. Do you want to tell us where you were before?
Yeah. So, really disconnected kid. Mm-hmm. Definitely did not feel like I fit in ever. Didn't feel like I could connect to anybody really. Mm-hmm. Besides my family.
Right.
Yeah, just felt lost my entire life. Just one thing I knew that I could count on was myself for sure. Mm-hmm. And I observed my family very hard from a very young age.
Yeah.
And I've always said that my parents didn't teach me what to do. They taught me what not to do.
Beautiful.
So felt like that, I think, my entire life. And I fought my mind always, just trying to convince myself, you're normal. Just keep going. Mm-hmm. You can get to where you want to go. Mm. Kept trying really hard to find those connections, find those people that understood me.
Right.
And then I met Faye.
Okay. So how was that? Or how did you get a chance to meet Faye? Through a friend? Right?
Yeah. So I work a lot and meet a lot of really cool people. Mm-hmm. And I met a really great person who just really saw a lot in me from the very second she met me.
Yeah.
And for years and years, she kept inviting me out. And, like most people, you keep getting invited out, and eventually when you're the person that always says no, people stop inviting you out.
Right.
And she never stopped inviting me out. So I finally went out, and I finally started pushing myself to be more social and try to open up a little bit more.
Right.
And then I met a close friend, and she said, "You have to meet Faye." And then I met her, I think maybe a week or two later. And I felt like I finally met somebody who didn't judge me at all and validated my experiences and kind of just put in perspective that there's people out there that understand you.
Right. Beautiful.
And then she said, "You have to talk to Moss."
Okay.
Yeah, I'll never forget that conversation. The first time I talked to you on the phone.
Mm-hmm. And it was just a casual conversation.
Super casual.
Yeah.
I think she called you, and within seconds she said, "Here, can you talk to Moss?" And literally just got on the phone and talked to you.
Yeah.
One of the things that you told me on our first conversation I'll never forget is you were describing me, and you said, "You're like a solid gold frame, and you're glass in the middle, and you've shattered yourself, and you're sprinkled everywhere. Mm-hmm. So how can you feel whole if you're sprinkling yourself everywhere?" Mm-hmm. But I still had my solid foundation.
Yes.
And I remember that night, you said, you might feel some type of detox. And I instantly was like, no, I won't feel anything. I'll probably just be new realizations. Mm-hmm. And 2 hours after our conversation, I felt sick. I felt so sick. And I got sick. Mm-hmm. And I remember getting back in bed and I felt like a semi just hit me. I could feel every cell in my body.
Wow.
Just everything. I could feel it.
Purging out.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Let me just like go to bed and I'll wake up in the morning. And I like shot up that morning. I shot up and I went to like my friend's room. We were still sleeping. We were supposed to leave really early. And I woke them up and my friends were like, are you okay? Like, you're glowing. And I'm like, I just feel so good. And I remember I just felt like this weight just like lift off me. Like I felt something left me that I've been holding for a really long time.
Yeah.
Really long time.
That's beautiful. Well, I just want to say some things before we move forward, is that a lot of times, when young people, like kids, they have such brilliant, amazing, say, abilities to sense the world, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. But, over centuries, it's like you shut that down. You're not supposed to feel that way. That's not real, and that you learn from a very young age to go, okay, this isn't going to happen. People aren't going to listen to me. So it's like, I'll just keep quiet. Does that make sense? And it's just like, because you're very intuitive, and it's like, shit, they're not going to believe me anyway, right? So they're not going to feel what I feel, because you can see the different, say, consciousness of different realities you're in. So even at a young age, I think that's why a lot of kids shut themselves down. They're not recluses, or they're not, they're not, socially inept or anything like that. It's just that they run at a high level, no offense, but almost like autistic level, where they see the grander, without, say, the autist. So like, no offense, but so it's like, you have density, like most humans are, and then you get higher and higher and higher, and you get the brilliant being, right? And then what happens is that you get higher and higher and higher, and then you see yourself at a high level, but you're stuck in, say, a physical form that's distorted. Okay, so you would have to show that distortion, and that's really where like autism comes from, literally, because you've seen the distorted forms, right? It's like, because that pure consciousness, and that's why autistic people, they're amazing beings, but they can't figure out how this society got so fucked up. Simple as that. So again, you're an amazing being, stuck maybe in a family with no, say, stability. Does that make sense? Because your family just is all over the place and gets, say, abused, or in situations that people take advantage of them, whether it's this level or the higher conscious. You saw that, and it's like, shit, I need to stabilize here, because I'm not going to be one of those people. Does that make sense? So you came some really good knowledge. And that's where you, like you said it perfectly. And I want to stress that, because people go, well, I had a rough childhood. I had this happen to me. I had that. And yeah, it's tragic. But if you start to be and that's what parents are for, unfortunately. But no matter what happening to you, if you start to, say, understand the logistics, right? You start to understand that, okay, this is happening to me. I don't have to absorb it as my own, and I can turn it into, say, a place of strength and stability. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. So when I first saw you, but that's why I said you have like a solid golden frame around you. Does that make sense? It's like you did a freaking fantastic job in that sense. But then, you age, and it's like, well, why aren't things working out? Why? And the reason for that is because, it's like you don't have your parents and whoever, or society is supposed to show, the young generation on, say, the possibilities that are out there, not the possibilities that they ran, or, the solutions that didn't work for them, and then shove it down our, the young generation's throat, right? Because it didn't work for them. It didn't work for your parents or grandparents, society. It's like, why the fuck am I going to take it upon me? And I think that's the kind of...
I knew that from a young age, that this wasn't going to work for me.
Exactly. So, but you didn't find solutions. And that's like, it's like, I'll try this, I'll try this, I'll try this, I'll try this. Does that make sense? And it's like, oh shit. And then you start to give up. And then that's where, say, people who are brilliant like you start to go, fuck, I don't know what else to do. And then you start thinking of, especially with your family patterns, like disassociation and all that stuff. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. So I think when we met, it wasn't, say, pure coincidence. I think it was your higher self going, fuck, something, somehow. Because again, did you notice that everything just worked out.
No, everything lined up.
Yeah, just like that. And you couldn't do anything but stay in that. You couldn't even go, no, something's happening, or I got to do something else. It's
There
like
was no
you're
choice.
doing. There was no choice. Yeah, exactly. So that's beautiful. So we can take that story a little deeper. So when you met me, I think you went through maybe 10, 15 years, say, transformation. I would say in a very short time. So it was kind of intense for you.
It was.
Right. So I don't know if you want to describe that a bit, or whatever happened to your family and getting over that. It's all up to you. However, whatever information you want to share.
For me, how I process what I feel. I process first how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I go in my cave and I just isolate myself and I feel everything out and I let all of its impact leave, and then I go into the world and try to make use of it, hopefully help people too from it.
Right.
So when I first talked to you, you really awoke in me, and for the first time in my life, I felt like, okay, I do have the power and I'm able to choose how I feel, and I'm able to, choose how it impacts me.
Right.
And I think in some way you kind of prepared me for what I was going to go through next.
Totally.
So about a month later, my brother committed suicide, and I'm very close with everybody in my family, and everybody else in my family is not close, so I'm kind of like the tie that tries to keep everybody together.
Yeah.
And I was really close with my brother that passed on, and it kind of woke in a new realm of which I didn't know existed, or maybe I knew it existed, but I didn't know I was feeling it, even in my younger years, which now it's feeling full force.
Yes.
In this world, and I don't even think I completely understand it yet, because it's so new, but or I feel like I'm a different person than yesterday, and I can already feel that I'm going to be a different person tomorrow than I am today.
Totally. Yeah, so for what you've gone through, and say the emotional state that the family is in, it's amazing, again, on, say, how you've turned it around into, say, really catapulting yourself forward. So, and again, it's not just your brother, it's like a ton of stuff so what you felt when you got sick, say, for example, you literally purging, because our cells hold on to your memory, right? Like every strand of DNA that you have, whether it's in your hair or whether you scrape off, some dead skin, if you could have the technology and measure that DNA, you could literally see your life history and your parents' life history, because it's all built in within that DNA. So you were purging all that in one shot, because that's how, say, intelligent or how pure you are. But sometimes when we're so pure, the world around us, you reflect back who you are. So you think you're the dark one, or people go, shit, she's the dark one, or she's, the fucked
Everybody
up
thinks
one.
I'm the dark one.
Exactly. Especially highly religious people, they look at you or they look at me, and it's like, oh shit, they're really dark. But you're such a pure reflection of them, right? And I bring this up because for a lot of people, say somebody is not trustworthy, right? You connect with them, they go, oh shit, don't hang out with her because she's not trustworthy, right? Or somebody's, whatever, somebody's a jerk, or, all the negatives are positive, not so much positive, because people don't do that. They always push the negatives on them, right? She's going to be that jerk, or that, that bitch, that whatever, that did X to them. But it's actually their patterns. Does that make sense? That happens to you all the time. So
every second.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll get to the point, and you'll get to the point that you become an even more or higher reflector on it, that you push out your frequencies. that make sense? So right in the past, you were getting, you were pulling other people's frequencies to stabilize, especially your families. Now it's like you're even.
Yeah.
You're in a neutral state. They're not pushing into you. You're not pushing out. So even as we speak, damn, I can see your higher self just like absorbing, say, the consciousness. Does that make sense too? It's really beautiful, actually. I wish you could get this on like film on what I see. It's crazy how she absorbs. I think in the past you would just absorb everything, but now it's like, shit, I don't want to absorb that. And it's like she's just like pulling. And
I learned that this month.
I know, it's beautiful, and I can see that. And she didn't even tell me that. I can just see it. So it's if you want to copy some of these patterns on how to absorb XI and the higher intelligence, you want to copy her patterns, because she sees something and it's just like, okay, I need that. And it's, you bypass the emotions, you bypass the pain, you bypass the hurt. It's like whatever it is, that's going to heal. I know if I get attached to that higher consciousness. Does that make sense too? Mm-hmm. Really good stuff. So, so back to what I was saying, you right now you're at a neutral state, and then, God, maybe in a few days, you'll actually start pushing out your frequencies, and then you override their frequencies that they're trying to push into you, and that's. I
think I am a little bit right now, like a little bit, and then it stops because I see it. I see when people, I see the reaction from people.
Yeah,
when
so
I pull back, so my job, for instance, I work with a lot of people and it's in a sales job, and I can tell like instantly when my energy is influencing somebody else, or I can tell when I pull back and when I focus on me. If they are not getting any of that energy, they'll come to me and they'll say like, hey, I'm going through this, or I did this, like seeking like they want me to like acknowledge what they're doing, which is good. Beautiful. So I can see that like, even if I don't associate with somebody for the day, but I have a good day, it makes them want to talk to me.
Beautiful. So that's how you really want to be an influencer. Not because, you're insecure, you're weak, you make a lot of money, and then you try to influence with your weaknesses. So these are the type of influencers you want to follow. Beautiful influencers. So, and again, after this, you're going to expand and you're going to actually feel, say, this presence around you, and that's you, your higher version. And you have a sales job, but people are going to buy from you just because of the frequencies that you resonate. Because when they connect with you, something in them gets resolved.
Yeah.
Literally like that. And it's like, I have to thank that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, at this point in my job, I don't just help random people. Like, I help who I want to help.
Yes.
And like, I remember when I like consciously made the decision, when I've been there for several years, when it was hard for me to be there, I remember making that conscious decision that if I was going to choose to stay here, I needed to find a way to make it like more fulfilling for myself.
Yeah.
So I said, like, let me go into the people that are in front of me and try to make an impact with the person that's in front of me. And then I started the people that I was helping were people that I genuinely liked, and people that I genuinely thought were what I would want in the world. And then the money just kept coming because I was putting out what I wanted, and then I was getting those customers in return, which was giving me what I also wanted in return too.
Beautiful. That's the way it should work, right? And you're not just exchanging goods and services, you're exchanging the deeper value on connecting or wanting just to be human. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. So what can you tell others that go through the process, or what can you tell young people that are, say, troubled or are brilliant, right? And they just don't know how to fit into society because they see social media, they see the Kardashians or whoever, I don't know who's out there, who's famous out there. Cardi B, is that a Cardi B or whatever? I don't know. It's like, I want to follow her. So, and then those people, I go, fuck, I don't want to be like that. They see through that bullshit. So what can you tell those people, those young individuals and even old individuals that didn't fit in? So any words of advice? Don't
push away all the things that you've gone through if anything, find one person, and even if it's uncomfortable, talk about it. Because if you're not talking about it, you're storing it, and it's just going to get heavy. And it doesn't even have to be to a person. You could talk to your phone and post it to Instagram, wherever, but just find some way to put out who you are, and it will attract what you need.
Beautiful. And just a caveat, the way she does it, the proper way, is that she writes it out and she doesn't have to send it to anybody, like she said, or you can. But what she does is like, okay, this stuff is in here. I'm going to place it here, and then it's going to leave my presence. Does that make sense to you? What most people do when they post or they journal, they magnify what's in here. So they write out stuff, and then they own that stuff. And then, it like they try to send it off, but there's a cord still connected to it. That makes sense? So that's the deeper layers of, say, how or why that works for her. So I just want to say that again. She writes the stuff out. She takes it out of her body or out of her, say, memory, cellular memory. She goes, I'm just going to place it here, the consciousness that's here. And then she posts it or gets rid of it or whatever she does. And it doesn't exist in her anymore. So that's the way you want to do it. And maybe we should have a class on actually how to do that properly, right? Because people journal and stuff, and basically it's like talking to a therapist, that you're just digging yourself into a hole more. So what would you say to others about, exponential intelligence or what I do? And what you do? It's a beautiful example.
For the ones that want to listen, which you can feel instantly,
mm-hmm.
is validate whatever experience they're going through first, and then let them know that there's a way out and a way in.
Mm-hmm.
And
so how would you describe, say, what I do, or say the transformations that I've helped you with, that have helped you help yourself with? That's, because it's like you have, you had the power, you had the abilities. I unlocked something in you for you to access that ability. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do. But how does it transfer, like, on your perspective on what you do? Or how would you describe what I do or what XI does for you?
I would explain it as trauma work. And
it's deep level trauma, not like surface level.
I think you really have to feel to the core of what you experienced. If you want to die, then you need to feel like you want to die. Beautiful. In order to be reborn into something, because you're going to die. That version of you is going to die anyway. So I love it.
Yeah, it's. I wish we had more time to talk, and I'm sure we will, because you get to say the.
It'll be better the next time.
No, you did beautiful, hon. But you get the inner workings, from, say, a different perspective than my perspective, which is really fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing your story. And thanks again, guys. Peace.